Hello, students, and welcome to our May 6th lesson. We will start with our Do Now, where we will respond to a prompt about de-escalation strategies. And then our objective today will be to solve multi-step equations. So for today, I want you to complete the math page. And when you are finished, show your work to me. If you have a problem with your camera, you can email a photo for credit and make sure to complete the exit ticket. Don't forget, SBAC is next week, so you need to look for adjusted days and times according to the chart that we showed you the other day. I think it was last Monday when we talked to you about that. But if you have questions about that, please ask, okay? So let's get started with our Do Now. So the theme today is staying cool during conflict. How can the following strategies work to prevent a conflict from escalating? So we've got walking away, counting, slow breathing, reframing unhelpful thoughts, or positive self-talk. So how could each of those keep a conflict from escalating? So put your answer right there. I look forward to seeing what you write. So now we're going to solve some equations. We're working with multi-step equations. We've been doing at least two-step equations. So we want to be a little bit careful when we look at these negative signs. So in number one, we have 14 equals negative x minus 8. We need to think of that negative as a negative 1. And we need to distribute that through to that quantity in parentheses. So it would be 14 equals negative x. Negative times a negative is a positive 8. So remember, a negative outside of parentheses has the effect of simply changing the sign of the quantity inside the parentheses. So now we ask, what is happening to 8? Well, 8 is to x. 8 is being added. So we will do the inverse operation of addition, which is subtraction. So we will subtract 8 from each side of that equation, which will give us 6 equals negative x. Now, because we have a negative x, we need to divide both sides of the equation by negative 1 to give us the correct answer, which really isolates x, because x is not isolated until it's positive, and that will give us x equals negative 6. So in number 2, we need to distribute that 5 through the quantity of 6x plus 6 before we do anything else. So 5 times 6x is 30x, and 5 times 6 is 30. That's a positive 30 equals 30. So we need to isolate this 30x. So the first thing we will do is subtract 30 from each side of the equation. And wait till you see what happens here. We have 30x equals 30 minus 30 is 0. And if we divide both sides of the equation by 30, we see that x equals 0, because anything with 0 in the numerator is still 0. So number 3, we have negative 3 times the quantity of 8x plus 2 equals 162. So we'll distribute that negative 3 first. 3 times 8 is 24, and that's a negative times a positive, negative 24x. And negative 3 times 2 is negative 6 equals 162. So now our next job is to add 6 to both sides so that we can isolate this term with 24x, and then we will eventually isolate x. So we have negative 24x equals 166. And then our next job is to divide 166 and negative 24x by negative 24. So let's get started with that. So, that should be 168. I'm sorry. I knew I did something wrong. So negative 24x divided by negative 24, 168 divided by negative 24, and that would leave us with x equals negative 7, because that's a positive divided by a negative, which will give us a negative. Number 4, negative 20 equals negative 4x minus 6. So we see that we have our x in this term with negative 4x. So we say, what is happening to the negative 4x? Well, 6x is being subtracted. But before we do that, we see that we have an opportunity to combine like terms. So we think about it like this: negative 4x minus 6x equals negative 10x. So let's combine like terms before we do anything else. So it's negative 20 equals negative 10x. So now we can go ahead and divide both sides of that equation by negative 10. That's going to allow us to isolate x. And then we have positive 2 equals x. And I like to rewrite it with x on the left side, x equals 2. So number 5, we have 4x plus 6 plus 3. We can combine the 6 and the 3. So that would be 4x plus 9 equals 17. And we're going to isolate this 4x term, which means we are going to subtract 9. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other, which gives us 4x equals 8. And then we're going to go ahead and divide both sides of that equation by 4 so that we can isolate the x. And when we do that, x equals 2. Now on number 6, we have 4x plus 9 equals 2x minus 6. So now we've got variables on both sides of the equation. So I'm going to move the variables to the left. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 2x from each side. That will eliminate 2x from the left, and on the right side we'll have 4 minus 2, 2x plus 9 equals negative 6. Now I want to isolate that 2x, so I'm going to subtract the 9, and whatever I do on one side I do on the other, which will give me 2x equals negative 9 minus 6 is negative 15. We're going to end up with a fraction. That'll be fun. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and that's a negative 2. So we'll divide by negative, oh no, it isn't a negative 2. Sorry, positive 2. So I'm going to divide by positive 2 on both sides, which will give me x equals negative 15 over 2. And usually in algebra, we do not convert the improper fraction to a mixed number. We usually just leave it that way. Okay, number 7, we have 3x plus 7 equals x minus 15. So let's subtract x from both sides so that we can move it to the left side of the equation. That would give us 3 minus 1 is 2x plus 7 equals negative 15. And then we're going to subtract 7 from each side to give us 2x equals 22. And then we will divide both sides by 2, which will give us x equals 11. Number 8, 7x plus 2 times the quantity of 8 plus 6 equals 39. The first thing we need to do is to distribute the 2 through the quantity of x plus 6. So we'll just write that 7x plus 2x plus 12, that's after we distribute, equals 39. We can combine 7x and 2x to give us 9x plus 12 equals 39. And now we're going to go ahead and subtract 12 from both sides. For 9x equals 27. And then we're going to divide both sides by 9, which will give us x equals 3, positive 3. And then in number 9, we have 4x plus 2x minus 3x equals 27. So 4x plus 2x is 6x minus 3x equals 27. 6x minus 3x is 3x equals 27. So x is being multiplied by 3, so we will divide both sides by 3, and x equals 9. And then number 10, 16 equals 2 times the quantity of x minus 1 minus x. First, we do that distribution. So 16 equals 2x minus 2 minus x, and that's an invisible 1 in front of the x. So what we can do is we can combine like terms. 2x minus 1x is simply x. So it's going to be 16 equals x minus 2. And then we will add 2 to both sides of this equation for 18 equals x, or as I like to write it, x equals 18. So you can check all of these by substituting the answer for x, and your answers should check. So let's go up to our exit ticket. It says, tell the inverse operations. The inverse operation of multiplication is division, and the inverse operation to subtraction is addition. So that's it for today. I do have a couple of little extra activities for you if you finish early. You can fill talking clouds with phrases that signal you to prevent a small conflict from escalating. And we've got Sudoku, which is a lot of fun. If you want to know how to do that and you don't know how to do that, you can ask me in class. And if we have time, I'll show you. Meanwhile, thank you for your hard work. Have a wonderful afternoon and keep practicing because you'll be great.